Another wonderful Sunday evening to discuss, well, nothing other than the NFL, all the great games today. I'm lying. There were some duds. We're going to talk about those too. If this is your first time listening to us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on the video, hit the notification bell as well. We appreciate it. B, how you doing, man?
What up? Man, I'm good. Just got back from a little family function today. We were great to see family members from down in Southern California, across the Bay Area here. A lot of food. Definitely overate because that's what you do at a family function here. But the greatest thing broke out. We played pickleball. And my first time ever playing pickleball. And there's a reason why I didn't want to play it, because it's addicting. And I might find myself on the pickleball court more than on the softball field. I'm just saying, it's low-key pretty fun. I guess there's some like unwritten rules, like you can't talk smack on it as well. But I'm like, man, that's the whole point of playing sports. It's a little competitive, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I guess I'll have to be nice to the rules.
That's right, folks. You heard it here first. B has family in Southern California.
You know what? Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. I've got that game on right now. That other team is winning 4-0 against the Mets, so I won't say their name here. Yeah, but let's talk about football.
Man. Yeah, let's jump into it before B gets mad and starts talking about a certain SoCal baseball team. Yeah, well, I mean, we got to talk about our teams. We usually run through our favorite teams. B, if you don't know, is a Ravens fan. I am a Raiders fan. We are in near the Bay Area, so we talk about the 49ers as well. We're going to get the easy ones out of the way, and that's going to be my team. The Las Vegas Raiders showed up or didn't show up for a game today. They just looked absolutely abysmal. I'm actually going to pull up the game here.
Bruh, Aiden O'Connell threw the ball 40 times and only had 227 yards to show for it. That's just too many throws for him, man.
Before we get him, beat him up too harshly, I do want to point out that not only is Devontae Adams out, but their next receiver up, Jacoby Myers, also was out. So they were running with a ragtag crew and crew, saying whatever. It was not pretty. They obviously didn't have their best receivers out there. Even Zamir White was out in this game. So they were missing a lot of offensive weapons. And it was the start of the Aiden O'Connell era. And, I gotta say, man, it was not a great game to watch on either side. I wasn't very impressed with the Steelers either. Offensively, they didn't do a ton outside of that man named Najee Harris, who was an absolute monster in this game.
He was tonight.
14 carries, 106 yards, 7.6 yards a carry, and had a crazy touchdown run for about 40 yards. He just bounced out of nowhere, got down the sideline, and Superman right towards the pylon. Dude, I felt like this game was a culmination of all the horrible things that the Raiders have done in the past 3 or 4 years. The fact that they don't have Devontae Adams, who they traded for. The fact that Derek Carr is no longer in a Raider uniform, who of course they cut and end up going to the Saints. It brings me back to the Jimmy Garoppolo, who is going to be the starter, and all the weird decisions that have been made around the Raiders organization. And I am officially in, and I think we said it in the last show. I'm in rebuild mode. I really don't think this team, as presently constructed, is going to compete. And why waste all of this time, effort, and money? It's time to let it go. They need to get from up under Devontae Adams' contract. They need to get his contract off their books the best way that they can. They should try to get a draft pick if possible. They should try to get that second-round draft pick, which they're shooting for. But if I'm being 100%, in order to restart, they need his money off the books more than they need anything else. So I'm saying they need to trade the guy, get him out of there. You got Max Crosby there. That's great. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Yeah, you paid him, but you're in rebuild mode. You might have to part with them and get some picks. They really got to start over. And I know that's kind of crazy to say because it's like, well, they still have a chance, or you have some good talent on your team. But look, let's call it what it is. They've tried to retool 3 different times, and it just has not worked. We can't keep doing this. Gardner Minshew to Garoppolo, and then, of course, Derek Carr was a quarterback long before that. I'm really tired of watching mediocre football. They're at home and they get killed by the Pittsburgh Steelers, who is obviously a better team, especially defensively. But there were times where this Raider team had an opportunity to get into this game. They had the fumble at the goal line by, I believe it was Abdullah. And there were just some odd, interceptions, of course, played a big part in this game as well. They didn't look very, or turnovers, I should say. They did not look very good at all, and I was really struggling to see the upside. Their defense did look pretty stout for a majority of the game until some turnovers late, and Steelers busted the game open at the end. So, yeah, man. Did you even get a chance to see this game? If you did, I'm sorry you watched it because it was horrible.
I unfortunately did. I caught most of the game, and that was just boring as hell from the Raiders' offensive end. But, I mean, at this point, that's all we've been talking about is how slow of a start these guys are getting to. They came out great.
Yeah.
Touchdown in the first quarter.
They did the same thing in the last game. It came out, got a touchdown early, and then that was it. It's over. Game over. Yeah, we scored all the points we need to. We're done.
You know what I'm saying? And that's where, maybe hold on to Jimmy G may have not been a bad idea. I'm just telling you this right now because you're not getting anything better from Aiden O'Connell. I vouch for the man, but at the same time, after watching this, it's like, dude, there's no quarterback in that room. You might as well just throw your third string out there and see what you get out of him. You got a wide receiver who can't make up his mind whether he wants to be traded. There was a report late in the week saying that everything was smoothed over. Antonio Pierce said everything was smoothed over here. Yeah, honestly, as much as I put the blame on the players, I might look at Antonio Pierce. I might look at it. He is a rookie. His rookie coaching is showing. Right? He's not an offensive-minded guy. He came from the defensive side of things. That defense ain't working out. I would look into getting someone who's a little more offensive-minded. Go out and get yourself a really good offensive coordinator and build around that. You're supposed to build around the players, but you need a really good coaching staff. And from what I'm seeing here, I would start maybe putting heat on your offensive coordinator here because when your quarterback is averaging 5 yards a throw on 40 attempts – that is not good. That is too low. You're playing conservative when you are doing that there. So the Raiders may need to start looking more of a coaching change, maybe not so much from the head coaching spot, but Antonio Pierce needs to look and go, our offensive coordinator may not be cutting it.
Right.
All right. The defense, it can only hold teams for so long before they start getting gassed. And then they start piling up the points. Then it's like you want to blame the defense, but the offense isn't giving them enough time to get rest on the sidelines before they have to go out there again. There was just too many 3-and-outs on the Raiders' end.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, whenever you have things like bad turnovers, especially that one by Abdullah at the goal line, which really hurt because they had an opportunity to get into the end zone. This game was 7-15 for a while. So it wasn't like they were being blown out or 7-12 or whatever it was. And it wasn't like the Raiders were being blown out. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense was pretty darn pedestrian as well, outside of Najee Harris, their running game. So there was an opportunity to win this game. This team obviously was not prepared. This quarterback looking at one of his, not first start. He started a good deal last year, but first time starting this season, it was going to be a little hard, especially given the fact that he doesn't have any targets. Jacoby Myers is out. As I mentioned, Devontae Adams is out. We already talked about Devontae Adams, I guess, smoothing something over, whatever the hell that means. That just means he's going to be traded in the offseason, quite honestly.
Yeah.
But it's just it's because the Raiders can't get the price they want. And I think is what it comes down to. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, I'm standing on the same thing. Blow this thing up. I don't mind Antonio Pierce as the head coach. I agree with you. If there's some need for change within the staff, his staff, he should do that. But more importantly, it's time to get them ping pong balls, bro. It's trying to get them draft picks. Like you got to start looking towards the future and start thinking about where can we get a rookie quarterback? Because if you look at some of these teams that have the rookie quarterbacks, we watched 2 of them play today in Jaden Daniels, and then we also watched Caleb Williams play as well. And they're light years better than anything the Raiders have. Even if you wanted to bump it down to Bo Nix, who didn't have a great game today, but at least is playing with a ton of effort and is scrambling and trying to make plays. And the Raiders kind of look like a team who just doesn't know what they're doing offensively. So yeah, take the stick out and throw the grenade in that thing and blow that thing up. I'm tired of watching it. Please.
We ain't seen him smoke a cigar in a while, so you definitely know something's wrong in that.
That's because everyone's hair and ass is on fire. It's hard to do that. Smoke a cigar when your ass is on fire.
Well, you bring up getting draft picks here. I'm going to be honest with you. There's not really a whole lot of good talent coming out of the college ranks until maybe about next year or the following year. Really make an impact for the Raiders here. So maybe blowing it up just may not be the thing, but you have to start preparing for the future. Yeah. Like you said, Max Crosby, Devontae Adams, those are your two most valuable assets. But let's be real with it here. No one's given up a first-round draft pick for either one of those players. They already said Devontae Adams is no more than a second round. Devontae Adams is a top 10 receiver in this league, and he's worth a second-round pick. You know you're not getting much from it. Max Crosby, one of the best defensive and pass rushers there. Yeah. Again, probably not going to get more than maybe a second or a third-round pick because of how long he's already been in the league. So there may not get much out of it. So blowing up the season may work, but you may want to start kind of diving in and getting rid of these players when you can get a high draft value for them now before it gets a little worse than that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, let's move on from that crap show to your team. The Ravens took on the Washington Commanders in a matchup of quarterbacks between the rookie Jaden Daniels and the MVP of last year, Lamar Jackson. So let's take a look. B, I know I'm gonna throw this to you because this is your team. Your Ravens are starting to turn the corner and win games. It hasn't always been pretty, but they are looking like a top team in the league. What did you see? Yep. How did you feel about the game, man?
This is a game that was perfect. I know the score, they only beat them by 7, but we expected a high offensive shootout. Yep. It's not in the 40s here, but teams were matching each other point for point pretty much, right? The only thing that helped the Ravens win this game was that extra touchdown in the second quarter here. Other than that, the teams were pretty much even through the board here. But what I saw today from the offense is something that I want to see for the rest of the year. That is selfish to say, but look, Lamar Jackson went 20 for 26 for 323 yards. Very, very efficient. Derrick Henry, 24 carries, 132 yards, rushing with 2 touchdowns.
Another good game.
Again, consistent. And then Zay Flowers, we've been waiting for the breakout game. 9 receptions, 132 yards here. Big factor for Lamar Jackson here. Isaiah Likely got going. Rashad Bateman got going. Mark Andrews found himself in the end zone as well. This was the complete game, and the defense didn't play that bad. They are one of the worst defensive teams when it comes to passing, but they held their ground when needed to here. And Jaden Daniels can throw that thing. Yeah. That boy is accurate, and he has subpar receivers. Just imagine if he had a guy like Devontae Adams, like Zay Flowers. You know, he has a true number one. He doesn't have a true number one, and he's making it work. 24 for 35, 269 yards, 2 touchdowns here. Again, I think he's going to end up winning Rookie of the Year here. But this was a true test for the Ravens here at home, trying to find their stride, and these last 2 games have been perfect. This little winning streak that they're on, this is the Ravens team that we are expecting to see. Derrick Henry is in full send mode right now. He's very hard to stop. I think this is his 3rd straight game of going over 100 yards. So I enjoyed every bit of this game. This is what I like to see, even though the score was close. They never stopped moving. It was a perfect game for them.
Yeah, man. I think, the addition of Derrick Henry, there were some questions about his capability of being the, number one, on this Ravens team. And at this stage in his career, was he going to be the guy and be able to do the same things he did with the Titans? And he's been every bit of that, especially these past couple of games. So Derrick Henry, I think, has taken a lot of pressure off of Lamar Jackson, making Lamar look a lot more efficient because Lamar's not throwing the ball 40 times a game. I mean, he was a very efficient 20 for 26, 323 yards. The fact that he completed 20 passes and got over 300 yards is pretty good, you know. And so a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that every defense has to pay attention to Derrick Henry, and that because you have the run threat of Henry, you have the run threat of Jackson, it really keeps defenses on skates, and that's why they put up a 30 spot today. I agree with you about Daniels. He needs some help though, man. I mean, he led them in rushing and passing. Keep in mind, he only rushed for 22 yards, so there wasn't a lot of running the ball going on the Washington side of the ball.
Brian Robinson is hurt.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler isn't the same since he left San Diego or Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
However you want to put him there. If I am the Washington Commanders front office, I am blowing the Raiders phone up right now, and I am finding a way to get Devontae Adams into that locker room there. You give him that, and Devontae Adams can be a deep threat for the Commanders. Whew, that's not a bad pairing with those two. Not bad at all.
Absolutely. No, I think any way that they can, that's the great thing. That's what we talked about earlier with the Raiders, right? The idea is once you have the quarterback, now everything is easier, right? Now you can say, you know what? This is what we need. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to do this. Because you're building around somebody you're looking to build a franchise on. And that's why the Raiders are in the predicament they are. They do not have their next franchise quarterback. They don't know who it's going to be. Who's going to be the quarterback next year? It might not probably isn't going to be one of these two guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But for the Washington Commanders at 4-2 with a rookie quarterback, oh, you better believe this is it. This is their guy. And, man, kudos to that team, man. I think for a young team like the Commanders to come in with a rookie quarterback, play this hard against the Ravens, it's only up from here. They're 4-2. They're a shoo-in playoff team as far as I'm concerned. And now I'm going to have to say, depending upon how well the Bears play, Jaden Daniels does have some company. It's not going to be that easy. Caleb Williams is playing pretty damn good. So I don't know if he's going to be a shoo-in. I think it might be a tight race between those two guys. But those guys are definitely at the top of the list.
You know, we don't give a lot of credit to someone in the front office for the Washington Commanders who is an assistant with finding these players who they brought in, and that's Bob Myers. For all who forgot,
that's
Bob
right.
Myers,
I forgot he joined them. I forgot
Bob Myers is a consultant of players to bring in. That means the people that they traded for, they signed for, and drafted. He had his hand on that. I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah.
Come back to Golden State. We need you, bro.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that because he did it. I remember not too long after he departed from the Warriors, he started doing TV work with ESPN, I believe. And one thing you talked about...
it was great work. It was great work.
And one thing you talked about was the fact that he was in the decision process for the coaching hire and all the changes that they made. You know, he was a consultant on that end for them. And yeah, you got to give it to him, man. He's a smart guy. He's a guy that, you know, understands how games are played. Just like you look at the game of basketball, you see what the trends are, and you start finding the players that fit the trend of the winning formula. And I think that's what he's doing with the Commanders. You got a mobile quarterback. You've got a guy who can throw the ball. He's a two. He can do two things. He can throw and he can run. Lean into that, you know, and then find players to put around him. So yeah, kudos to Bob Myers, man.
Absolutely here. You want to talk about that Thursday night game? That wasn't a bad game.
Yeah, no, it wasn't bad at all. The 49ers, they needed this game
badly.
I mean,
badly.
This was a huge win for them. This game against the Seahawks, and it was a pretty good game. But the Niners did put their foot down on the Seahawks' throat, and they got the job done, 36-24. And, I think we got to really tip our hat to Brock Purdy. These past few games have not been easy. They've been missing a few people here and there. Deebo Samuels was out for a bit. Obviously, they've been missing McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey the entire time. So this has not been easy. But Deebo came back in a big way. He only touched the ball 3 times, man, but he got a TD and 102 yards on a big play. You know, the 49er defense is still suspect in my book. They made some plays for sure. But this was a pretty close game throughout. Geno Smith
Jesus
threw the
Christ,
ball 52 times.
times.
So let's talk about this for a second. There's one team you don't want to step back and throw the ball 52 times against, and it's the San Francisco 49ers, because they're just going to eat you up, because if you're throwing the ball that many times, they're going to get to you, and they did put some pressure on Geno throughout the majority of the game. And for who's he throwing to these days?
He was throwing to Kenneth Walker, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
who else was he throwing to?
I mean, DK Metcalf had three receptions. Lockett had 4. He was spreading the ball around all over the place, actually.
He was.
But no running game in sight. The Niners did a good job of making sure Kenneth Walker did. I mean, he got a touchdown. But other than that, that was like they closed that door.
There. But here's the thing too. Seattle really shot themselves in the foot that game, because they closed the gap in the third quarter. Those 14 points closed it, but they could never get it going in the fourth. Geno Smith had 2 bad throws where he had receivers over the top and proceeded to throw it under for 2 interceptions here. One on DK Metcalf. I think the other one was on Tyler Lockett, where he had Tyler Lockett up the middle. Yeah. It was DK. He had DK up the middle, and instead of DK cutting upwards, he cut across, but then threw it under, and that's where the pick happened. So I think Seattle also really shot themselves in the foot in this game. The Niners did recover well defensively when it mattered the most. They got the turnovers when they needed there. Brock Purdy is keeping them in this game here, and we give him those credits here. And this is what you want from a guy you may pay $60 million a year to. This is what you're expecting from him. He's turning some lemons into lemonade when he's not given the greatest opportunity here, especially without all of his weapons. Now, the Niners did get some great news. Ricky Pearsall is scheduled to ramp up his practicing, but they also took another hit. Yeah, they just lost another running back. Yeah. And so, but then again, you want to know how deep that running back room is? What's that kid's name? Garundo?
Isaac Garundo comes in and runs,
and just tears it up.
Yeah, he had that one big run at the end of the game.
He iced it.
But yeah, man, to ice the game. But yeah, I mean, you're right. That running back room is definitely deep, and I don't know how they got it. I don't know how to keep getting lucky, but they got it done. We have to point out again that the Brandon Ayuk train is still heading towards not being a very good receiver this year. I'm sorry, folks. I know there was a lot of talk about, and we even had some folks get in our chat talking about, the way he was trending and how good he was. And he was good as a third option, but right now, he's not having himself a very good game. The one game he did have, I think it was the last game, actually, where he went over 100 yards, but unfortunately they lost.
That was against Arizona.
Yeah. So this game, it was 2 yards for 37 yards. 2 receptions for 37 yards. Deebo Samuel's back, so he's going to get a bulk of the load there. Yeah. And it's really starting to look like Brock Purdy's really getting a lot done, but he needs a number 1 receiver. I mean, Deebo Samuel's more of a gadget guy. I mean, he's not a bad receiver, but he's more of a gadget guy. He's going to catch the ball short, make it go long. He's going to, get carries out the backfield. He's going to do a lot of different things. But to have a straight up one-on-one dog that could just get open when you need them to, the 49ers are really missing that. So I'm interested to see what the future holds for this wide receiver crew. With the fact, seeing as how Brandon Ayuk really has not lived up to, I guess, the expectation they thought he had.
All I said, second round draft pick lands you a number 1 wide receiver. That's all it's taking. The Raiders are asking for damn near nothing to get rid of Devontae Adams. If I don't care who you are, I don't care what your salary cap is. If you have a chance to win a Super Bowl and you could bring in a talent like that, and all it's going to cost you is a few second-round picks, I am running that risk, because he can make the Niners offense that much more better. Does Brock Purdy throw the deep ball? Not as much.
Yeah.
but it gives him the opportunity to. He is a number one wide receiver where you can center a possession all around Devontae Adams there. So again, the Niners are another team who can go out and get him.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see if more talks come through. But if the Raiders, if he does end up coming back and playing for the Raiders for the remainder of the season, keep in mind, folks, don't get too happy. That probably just means he's going to be traded in the offseason because, again, I don't see a situation where he comes back, plays for Aiden O'Connell, and they all of a sudden, become the greatest tandem we've ever seen. I just don't think that's going to happen.
But guess what? Guess who rolls into Levi's next weekend? The 49ers. The 49ers daddy. Those are the Kansas City Chiefs. Man. Well, actually, the Chiefs is daddy to the entire NFL.
How is that how is that a 4 Eastern start?
I don't know how the NFL missed this one.
I mean,
that one. But
what?
let's look at the schedule for next week just to realize why this better be a good Sunday or Monday night game on why we're not getting the Chiefs and the Niners in prime time. A 1 o'clock game? You got to be kidding me. Now, Thursday night's fine. Denver and New Orleans, that's just nothing but a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's 2 Monday night games next week again.
Oh, again?
You've got to be kidding me. It's the New York Giants at Pittsburgh. They chose that game to be the Sunday night game instead of the rematch of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's insulting if I'm a Niner fan or a Chiefs fan that they chose that dumpster fire over you guys.
I don't get it, man. I really don't. I thought that they had the capability. Well, actually, they should have made these decisions before the start of the season, because you can clearly see. It's just like when the NBA does the schedule and they do the Christmas games. You know who's going to be in it, right? Like, you know who's going to play. It's going to be the very best teams that have matched up against each other last year.
Biggest names in the NBA.
Playoff matchups from the previous year. And the NFL has that opportunity, and for some reason, they rather us watch the ho-hum Giants, who can't even score a point so far in the game.
I'm sorry, it's not even the Giants. It's the New York Jets.
Even worse, the Jets.
That's even worse.
So we're gonna watch J.J. Watt in Aaron Rodgers' career on national television. TJ. Sorry, not JJ. It's his brother, TJ. Sorry. TJ Watt in Aaron Rodgers' career on national television. It's going to be grand, I guess. But no, we should have definitely be watching the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs take on the 49ers. So I don't get that at all.
Yeah, that's a terrible game here. We got David Becerra in here. Hopefully getting Ricky Persol back will open things up for Brandon Ayuk. I don't think that Ayuk should be the primary receiver. He should have never been the primary receiver from the get-go.
Yeah.
I just don't think he was ever the number one wide receiver. In all honesty, I don't think the Niners have a number one wide receiver. Deebo Samuel, like you said, is a gadget guy. He is more of a slot runner here. He is not a deep threat.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk is not a deep threat. Otherwise, we'd be seeing a lot more deep balls from the Niners here. So he is not a deep threat as well. But he's a guy who I believe if you ask to go one-on-one with the team's best defender, I don't think he's winning those matchups a lot. And that's what you need from a number one wide receiver here. So adding Ricky Persol into the mix gives you another slot receiver. Does it open Brandon Ayuk up a little bit more? It does, but he should not need that kind of assistance if you are the number one wide receiver on a team.
Yeah. Agreed. The other guys make it $30 million. I know Tyreek Hill's very sad right now because he doesn't have a quarterback, but you got to be a dog. You got to be one of those guys.
Yes.
Let's move on to another crap show.
Oh God.
We talked about how bad the Raiders were. Well, there was another team that tried to outdo them in just how bad can we play. And that was the Dallas Cowboys, who were at home with a 3-2 record against the Detroit Lions, of course, who've been playing very well this season. Got completely smashed 47-9. This was a absolute take them out to the shed and just beat them down. It was rough. I have to admit, I was watching this game and I could not recognize the team that I was watching. The Dallas Cowboys looked nothing like the team that they were last year. Their offense was absolutely lethargic. They threw the ball, it seemed like, every single down. I don't even know, do they even have a running back? They didn't run the ball at all. CeeDee Lamb, who gets a lot of press and a lot of attention, was double covered most of the game, which he should be. But it just appears that there's some disconnect between CeeDee Lamb and the game plan, or CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, because Dak's got a billion problems. Problem number one, my main receiver don't like me. Okay, he's not getting the ball. He's mad. Okay.
He said he threw an average ball the last week. Did you read his lips? It's average throw at best. You can't have that happening on your sidelines.
No. Number two, my offensive line is garbage. He was pretty much on his backside a good portion of the game. And then number three, my coach is an idiot. McCarthy had one Super Bowl, folks, with Aaron Rodgers a very long time ago, I want to point out. But since then has never been back to the promised land and has been in the engineer of Green Bay teams making the playoffs and losing in the first or second round. That's what Green Bay did the rest of Aaron Rodgers' career before he went to the Jets. I just want to point that out in case folks forgot. They would get to the playoffs and lose in the first round or the second round every single year. They never got close. So that guy is with the Cowboys doing the same thing. And I think time is clicking. It's running out. The locker room is starting to erode, especially when you have your wide receiver making comments about your quarterback. Not that we haven't seen this before, right? There's my quarterback. But
that was different though. He was defending his quarterback.
Yeah, right. I'm sorry. It was look like a duck. It was look like a duck, sound like a duck was the one that I'm thinking of. For Terrell Owens, for people who don't know. But yeah, this thing's starting to fall apart real quick. I don't know what the answer is other than I would love to have Dak Prescott on my team. That's all I'll say about that. But this thing looks like it's going to be a collision course, and somebody's going to have to be the scapegoat.
Yep, and we all know who that scapegoat is. It's the quarterback. It's in every locker room. The wins are all praise to the quarterback. The losses are all praise to the quarterback. You know whose fault this is? Jerry Jones. Yeah. This is all Jerry Jones's fault for signing your 2-star players 2 hours before the game even started to open the season, and then second, your number one wide receiver didn't get a touch in preseason here. He took way too long to make these contracts happen here. You want to talk about chemistry? They have no chemistry. Mike McCarthy needs to go. All right, he shouldn't be a head coach anymore. At best, an offensive coordinator. But at that, if I'm watching this offense, I don't want him touching it because it's like watching a play take fold here. Their running back room is Ezekiel Elliott, who's washed up. You have Kevontae Turpin, who was supposed to be the number one, and then Rico Dodwell. Pronouncing his name's not even worth it because it's not like he gets a lot of answers to it anyways here. You know what I'm saying? They got to figure something out, man. And you want to talk about teams to blow up? You can't even blow this team up because you just signed your two biggest stars with too much money here. So now you're living with this crap. You know what I'm saying? So you may have to take it a different direction. You may need to bring in a new head coach. And for God's sake, someone needs to tell Jerry Jones with his Tales of the Crypt looking ass, get the hell out of here. Let somebody else take over. And let's move on with this show here. Because honestly, he is going to run that team into the ground faster than you think. Where it's going to get to the point Dallas don't make the playoffs.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head with the Jerry Jones comment. He's got to hire somebody to do the job and step out of the way because his interference, just like you talked about with the contract situation, the better plan would have been to get it done and get these guys in training camp right away so we can have a great season. Instead, it became some stupid posturing from the 1970s that was unnecessary in today's era. And so now you end up with a quarterback and a wide receiver who are not on the same page. Not to mention, you've done nothing to fortify your number 2 wide receiver position. So now it's just a crap show. Dak Prescott's getting hit a lot. He doesn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. He's starting to look very inaccurate, like he's hearing footsteps in his brain. and CeeDee Lamb complains about not getting the ball, but he's double covered all the time. So it's just it really is bad. And like you said, man, until they put somebody in place like a general manager, the same way that Lynch does, John Lynch is for the 49ers, somebody, the same way John Elway is for the Broncos, find someone you can trust, put them in a position to run the team, and get the hell out of the way. There are 1,000 former Cowboys you can go hire that you like or are from. You could go get what's his name? Oh man, why am I blanking on his name? Who's
Troy Aikman?
Yeah, Troy. Exactly. You get Troy Aikman. Or whoever. I don't know. You could put anybody there that you feel comfortable with.
I wouldn't put Michael Irvin in there.
No, hell no. No. Oh no. You'll literally have no defense. There'll be like 20 receivers. He'll have a receiver.
Wide receiver room.
Yeah, he'll have a wide receiver throwing the ball. It'll be stupid. No, I wouldn't do that. But he really needs to step aside. He is getting older in age. It was the same problem that the Raiders had with Al Davis as he got into his later years. We started doing some weird stuff. Anybody remember Jamarcus Russell? Sebastian Janikowski, anyone? Those were top picks.
Hold on. Sebastian Janikowski wasn't bad because he did make some pretty big field goals. You don't
draft him in the top. You don't draft him at the top of the draft. I'm sorry. In the first round, you don't draft your kicker.
Not the Warriors. Sorry, I'm watching the game. The Niners drafted a kicker in the third round. All right. So I guess drafting kickers high in rounds is something that you want to do. But at least it paid out for the Raiders here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't turn out to be a complete thud here. Not like Jamarcus Russell. So
I still think
gotta give him a little bit of that.
It's still weird. Let's just be honest. It's weird. Thank goodness that he survived without going to jail, because he almost went there a few times. Anyway, so
did you see the injury to Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I watched the play where it happened. I did see him jump on Dak Prescott, and it looks like he kind of, I'm not sure what happened there. His leg, he was chasing Prescott. He got turned around. It looked like, how you kind of get spun around a little quicker than normal here. So his leg came around, made contact with his teammate's knee just right below it, and it just snapped his leg. Oh, my goodness. Literally just snapped it. It was pretty. Social media's got it. So if y'all, it is a little bit queasy to watch, but if you have that kind of dark mind, go watch it. And then you can see him laying on the ground yelling, "I broke it. I broke it." And look, were the Lions up big? Yes, but it was still the third quarter. So you don't want to. That's the good thing about the Lions is they're not going to sit here and just, after being up big, they're going to be comfortable with it. Yeah.
They put their foot on the Dallas Cowboys' throat and said, "You guys aren't breathing for the rest of this game. It does not matter here." Yeah. They didn't even allow a touchdown today. That's how bad they really wanted that game there. But, man, big prayers to Aiden Hutchinson, man. Yeah, the last thing you want to see is a broken leg like that. I think the last kind of really bad injury we've seen like that was Alex Smith.
Yeah.
We saw how that story played out. So
I remember the Charlie Garner one. Whenever his leg foot stayed in the ground as his body went the other direction. But there have been some gnarly ones. But yeah, man, that was rough.
And then David Becerra gets back with us saying the Lions were still mad about last year's Cowboys game when they were penalized for an ineligible player downfield. And he wasn't. I remember that game, and that was not an ineligible man downfield. That was a great play that they ran. But hey, sucks to suck. They got the revenge this year, and man, if you're a Cowboy fan, how bad are you hurting right now? Like, this ain't America's team. It's never been America's team, but
I don't know.
Can you imagine that fan base right now just like torching every single piece of memorabilia that they have?
Yeah, well, you know how it is with fan bases. They start reminiscing about the good old days with Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and all that kind of garbage. Because right about now, it's a wrap. Or I won't say it's a wrap. I mean, they're 3-3. They still have an opportunity to play themselves into a better season. They do have talent. Micah Parsons was also, was out this game too. So, I mean, there's some opportunity there. It's just, when we think about the Cowboys, no matter how good we think they are in the regular season, we always in the back of our mind are going, yeah, that's nice, but they ain't winning in the playoffs. So whatever they decide to do, they're not winning in the playoffs.
Yeah. Let's talk about pick'em dummies because there's a game in there we need to talk about a certain quarterback who's turning his season around real fast. That is the Chicago Bears and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who again gave us a pretty crappy London game.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And the Jaguars sucked so bad that they decided to keep him in London for an extra week because they got to play another London game next week here.
Are you
for
serious?
That. But,
oh,
yeah, the Jags have back-to-back London games.
They
might just stay there.
Let me put it like this: their coach may have to stay there because he might not make it back to the United States. He might have to take a vacation.
They might as well leave Trevor Lawrence there too, because Trevor Lawrence sucks too as well.
Yeah, man,
but let's talk
garbage.
about Caleb Martin. Let's talk about Caleb Martin. Threw for 4 touchdowns today.
Caleb Williams.
Caleb, did I say Caleb Martin?
Yeah, not
See,
Caleb.
man, my mind's on basketball. It's getting there. It's getting there, bro.
I feel you,
Caleb Williams was 23 for 29 today, 221 yards, 4 touchdowns, only 1 interception. But here's the big line: he was only sacked 3 times.
Yeah, big difference.
That's big. It's a very big difference.
Big difference.
The Bears are starting to turn this around. He is not getting hit as often, and you're starting to see what the kind of quarterback he is when he's not under that kind of pressure. Some of the throws that he made today were some top-notch throws to begin with. He's surviving. It was a very rough first 3 games. In fact, we probably were all over his ass.
Yeah.
No,
like absolutely.
He did it on Meek Mill. You know what I'm saying? So it's all
right.
All I'm saying is I'm happy for the guy who's getting his season turned around. My fantasy team is very happy for him as well. The Chicago Bears, again, I told you their defense was really good, and all it took was this offense to figure it out.
Yeah.
They may be able to compete with teams like the Lions and the Minnesota Vikings for the number 1 seed. And so the NFC North has a very good potential of being one of the best divisions because you can't count out Green Bay either.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
You mentioned it's now I'm still high on Jaden Daniels winning this MVP, but if Caleb keeps this up, he will present a threat to Daniels on winning this MVP. I don't know if you had a chance to watch or catch the highlights. What did you like from Caleb Williams today?
So I think the one play I saw that was like, wow, that was a like legit NFL throw. He's had a couple of them, but the one where he hit the I don't know if it was Keenan Allen who it was, right down the middle. It was a throw over the middle with the receiver was not even open. The receiver was not open. He threw the ball on his back shoulder, up high and away from the defender, basically throwing it on the place only his receiver could get it. His receiver went back, snatched it out the air, touchdown. To me, that was one of those Aaron Rodgers-like or Pat Mahomes-like plays where it doesn't matter if the guy's covered. I know my receiver, and if I can put it where the defender is not, he can adjust to the ball. And we've seen that time and time again, especially with Aaron Rodgers, who's made a living off of back shoulder throws. I mean, that when your quarterback can do that, and this is his first year in the league, I think that now we're talking about a guy who can really get out there and make something happen, to be that accurate, to trust your receiver, and then have that receiver make a play. And kudos to Keenan Allen, for resurrecting himself out of the graveyard into the end zone this week. And he's like, the old man lives, and he had himself a great game today. But you told me, and I was a little skeptical about what this team was really capable of, but after watching these past couple of games, although I must mention the Panthers and the Jaguars are not the greatest teams, they're starting to look the part. And that brings me to the next game, which also could have been a primetime game. The Bears are lining up against the Commanders next
this
week.
Game got a lot better.
10 a.m. start Pacific time, but the Bears and the Commanders are go head-to-head. The 2 Rookie of the Year candidates. These are some good games, man. I'm ready.
I would say so. But you mentioned the teams that the Bears have beaten. These games are like tune-up games, though. It gets them into the rhythm that they need to be. And you want to talk about a game with gunslinging? Both teams are. I would expect both quarterbacks to throw the ball 50 times each. You know what I'm saying? And
I'm
let's not
ready.
forget DJ Moore is
Yes,
also having
yes.
himself a
Yeah,
really
he
good season
is.
with
He
Caleb
did.
Williams.
Yep.
Like I said at the beginning of the year, the Chicago had the players. It was all about what Caleb Williams was going to do here. The defense is still a top defense, and I think they're ranked number 2 in the NFL here.
Yep.
But that offense starts clicking the way it does, and that defense stays consistent. Again, another team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the NFC North here. So
Absolutely. And then you got
I
the
can't
you
wait
got
for
the
that game Sunday, dude. I can't wait for that game on Sunday. I'm pumped.
it's gonna be great. And you got the undefeated Vikings sitting on top of that. You got the 4-1 Lions, 4-2 Bears, 4-2 Packers.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So B, let's put it out there. All 4 of these teams make the playoffs.
Yes.
Has that ever happened before?
I don't know if it's ever happened
I'm
before.
trying to think.
I'll have to do my research on that. But if the teams play the way they do, obviously they're going to beat each other up in their own division.
Right. So that's probably what's going to make it a little different.
When you look at the rest of the standings here in the NFL, they have teams who can easily only have 6 losses.
Yeah.
If they play the way that they do here. When you look at the NFC here, you look at the NFC East, right? You got the Commanders at 4-2. Philly, I don't know how is 3-2, but they're 3-2. Yeah. Dallas is becoming a shell of themselves. The New York Giants are the New York Giants here.
Right.
The Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 4-2 as well. And there's only one team coming out of the NFC West, and that's either the Niners or the Seahawks, because the Cardinals really ruined that opportunity.
Yeah, they're dead.
So it's the NFC North can send all 4 teams into.
I think that would be incredible if they could do that. Now, like I said, they're going to beat up on each other a little bit, but you do have some bottom dwellers, as you mentioned. The Rams and the Panthers are going to be giving up. I don't want to make another P. Diddy reference, but anyway, they're good. They're going to be giving up a lot of losses.
Why didn't you?
And
they're going to come on.
They're going to be giving up a lot of losses. The Giants are in the same boat. The Cardinals are joining that team. The Saints don't know when Derek Carr is coming back, and they're not looking very good. The Bucks are legit. They can run a score up on anybody. And the Falcons are good, but the Falcons are kind of an unknown product as well. So, yeah, man, I think this is going to be good. The NFC, with the addition of the Commanders being good, the addition of the Bears, this is all good for the league, man. The Lions, I mean, now there's a lot more to look at within the NFC. I feel like last year was really just the 49ers. And then, and that was kind of it. You had the 49ers and everybody else. But this year is shaking out to be, the Vikings the Lions are there. And then you got some of these up-and-comers with the Commanders and the Bears, and so it's gonna be real interesting, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, man. Let's take a look at Week 7 real quickly here. Let's look at some of the matchups. Dude, I feel bad for England, man. They got the Patriots and the Jags. Both teams 1-5 travel their asses across the sea for some bad football here.
That's right, baby. Hey, dude, this is all about selling apparel. You know that. I mean, the NFL has been trying to get more of a presence. I even saw the thing where they had the De La Salle team go out there to play the UK
and beat the London NFL team.
Breaks off of them. And for those who are not familiar, we in the Bay Area are very familiar with De La Salle. They have been running things football-wise at the high school level for the past, I want to say, almost 15 to 20 years, if not longer. They've been the top team. So the De La Salle going into the UK and beating the brakes off of the UK national team or wherever they were is hilarious. But
we all know football ain't gonna last too long in the UK if that kind of stuff happens. When your high school team goes out there and almost starts a world war with beating off of England,
right? Getting whooped.
Let's see here. We got the Texans and Packers this coming Sunday. That's going to be a good game.
No Nico Collins. Nico Collins is out, but you still got Diggs, so it should be a good game.
You got Tank Dell as well.
Yeah.
The Lions and the Vikings on Sunday.
Wait a minute. Here's another game. This is about to piss me off.
Another game that could have been a primetime game here. Bro, So there's two good 10 o'clock games, and then you've got the Niners and Chiefs. Oh God,
Dude, what the heck? What the,
yeah.
what
What in
is
the
that?
hell?
What were they thinking? That's what I'm
There's
trying to
there's
figure
there's
out.
some good yeah, there's some good matchups on this coming Sunday. So I like it. You have the Ravens and the Buccaneers, both teams 4-2.
Hmm.
Um, Tampa Bay went into New Orleans and did what they were supposed to do. I wasn't expecting a 50 spot from the
Yeah,
Buccaneers, though. Holy
yeah,
shnikes.
yeah.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this coming Sunday. We obviously our two football games get off to a terrible start with the Bucks and the Saints and the Patriots and the Jaguars. Dude, talk about a guy who fell off the earth. Can we talk about how Trevor Lawrence is just garbage at this point?
I
Like
mean,
he might as well go into a straight Britney Spears moment, shave his hair off, restart that shit, dude. He
him
looks terrible.
him and Brendan Ayuk must be sleeping with the same girl because they are having the same problem. I don't understand what's going. These guys get all this money. Trevor Lawrence swings his hair back, gets $200 million, and then proceeds to go out and give the Jaguars one of the worst seasons they've had in quite some time. They're absolute trash. I am upset with their. I mean, they have to be upset with their organization. Completely just giving in to the NFL and making them play all these damn England games all the time because they did it last year too. But dude, it's amazing. These guys get paid and they're falling off the face of the earth. What the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And it's just he should be their franchise quarterback. They have been a playoff team, but it's really starting to look like that thing. The wheels are falling off that thing, and I agree with you. Him and Brendan Ayuk should go shave their heads.
The wheels started falling off last year because
That's
remember
true.
they were supposed to win the
That's true.
division last
Yeah,
year,
they
and the
lost.
Texans swept in there and
Yep,
took it from them.
they sure
And
did.
all
You're
they
right.
had to do was just win the last game of the year. Couldn't even pull that off. You know what I'm saying? It's been a disaster for the Jags for the last year. And here's another predicament where you got a quarterback who is just now you're locked in with him. And not to mention, you have Mac Jones as your backup down in
Mike
Jacksonville as well.
Jones, the white guy
It's
with the
not
black
like it's
name.
any better.
Yep.
Not like it's any better for them.
Yeah, man. That's why I said Doug Peterson just probably should just stay there. He should probably just stay there in London. Don't bother getting on a plane back to America. Go ahead and plan a vacation with your family. Fly your children out there and enjoy because if they lose these next couple of games, I think what do they have? They've only got one win on their record,
Yeah, they're
and
1-5.
be at 1-6, there's a real low probability of you having an opportunity of playing in the playoff, especially given some of the other teams that are playing with you in your division. So yeah, I don't think so, man.
I'm I'm
Trash.
I'm gonna I'm when we do pick 'em dummies Friday, I'm definitely either taking the Patriots or the Jags. I want to see who team is worse than that
Yeah,
dumpster
man.
fire.
Woo! Hey, man, maybe that's a win opportunity for. Well, first off, the Patriots going to England. There's some historical, there's some weird stuff going on there, right? A team
I
named the
would say so.
Patriots going back to England, as we all know in history, if we took the class, that the Americans that were here defected, or the English that were here defected away from England and then fought a war against them. I don't know. I feel like the Patriots are going to lose. I think the Jags win that game, man. I think the Jags win that game. I
I'm
don't.
gonna take the Patriots.
I don't
After
know.
watching the Jags today, that was you know what? Both teams suck, so I'm just gonna flip a coin and just let Jesus take the wheel on
There
that
you
pick.
go. All right. Always,
Um,
always a good idea. Um,
your standings for Pick'em Dummies. Sorry, bro. You had the Commanders plus 6.5. Ravens handled that really
yeah.
easily
Well,
here.
no, it was close. It was close.
It was close here, but no can do. The Cardinals decided to really just crap the
Crap
bed
the
today.
bed. Yes.
But you had the Falcons. Falcons
Yay.
covered here real easily. So you are 1-2 right now with the pending game from the Bills. You still have the Bills minus 2.5 right
Yep.
now as the standings go. You are 9-13.
Whew. I'm struggling.
I had the Bears. We all saw how that turned out. We talked about the Bucks dropping a 50 spot. The Browns Thank God they found a way to cover the spread without looking too goddamn terrible. They still suck as a team.
They do.
But
They're
thank
bad.
God they covered that spread. Plus 9.5, lost by 7. I will take that all day. Thank you for covering that there. And then the Broncos, you guys suck. All right? Take your horses back to the pasture. Put them all out. I can't believe you showed the way you did today. That was embarrassing. Unbelievable, man.
Dang, man. Now, don't get PETA calling us. Brian is asking for horses to be put out to pasture. Take him to the glue factory, he says.
Yeah.
Paul Elmers.
But I am 13-9-2, so I'm feeling a little better about these picks here. So
good for you.
Real quick, did you watch Starting Five on Netflix?
I haven't watched the whole thing, but I have been watching it. I am enjoying watching it. I really, really enjoy getting behind the scene looks. I think we talked about this before. My favorites so far are Jimmy Butler and Edwards. Fun time. I do, however, appreciate getting the behind the scene with Bron. You find out after all this time, LeBron is extremely boring. LeBron is just a dude. Yeah. He's not very he's just a guy.
He'd rather play video games. He'd rather not do anything
right.
after when the game's over. He wants nothing to do with basketball. He does not live and breathe basketball. When he is home, he separates himself from that. So I think that's a really good to see there. But I have to agree with you, Jimmy Butler, probably one of my favorite players now, outside of Curry here. Just getting to know Jimmy Butler on that level. Domantas Sabonis is just boring. That's
very well. Okay, folks. If you haven't seen it, let me help you out. Sabonis is a nice guy, bro. That's what B is trying to say. He's just not entertaining. He takes care of his kid, has fun with his wife. He's like vanilla. He's milquetoast. He's great.
But he looks like he ran into 8 walls and then decided, after the 9th one, I looked pretty good after that. The dude bagged an
Laker cheerleader.
Yeah.
But before we get a Laker cheerleader who did not want to date a basketball player, as she mentioned, she was not interested in dating a basketball player at all.
She probably looked at him and said, "This isn't a basketball player," and then she got surprised that it was a basketball player.
Yeah, because she was like, "Yeah, it's a white guy." Great. Anyway, so it's but the other, other than that, I love the fact how they talked to her about the stomp by Draymond Green and how pissed this little white woman was. She was mad. As mad as a middle-aged white woman can be.
She doesn't talk about it no more.
Right.
Your husband's a dirty basketball player too.
Oh man, that was good stuff, man.
But Sabonis ain't the cleanest basketball player as well. So you're doing your job as a wife. You defend your husband. That's what you're supposed to do. But he ain't the cleanest either, all right? That boy is dirty as well. So
it was almost it could have been a Doug Christie moment. Remember when his wife went out there with the bag, started slapping people with the purse, man.
Yo, Anthony Edwards has to be the most humble country kid I have ever seen in the NBA. And on top of that, he don't give a damn who you are. And he was talking shit to everybody. That's what I really appreciate him. You want to talk about a guy who embodies what we say, a Michael Jordan mentality. You can even say embodies a Mamba mentality. That's the guy. It doesn't matter who you are on the court. He's coming at your ass. Yeah. And I'm glad they had him mic'd up because the stuff that he was saying was just it was gold. That's what I love to hear.
Yeah, man. I mean, my man he wasn't holding back. It was cussing, having a great time with his family. Mainly, it's just him and his family, and he's just being himself, more or less. It's a great story. A lot of folks forget when he was drafted. I don't know if y'all remember. This was during COVID, and he had a picture of both his grandmother and his mother who passed away on the couch with him. Yep. So yeah, this kid is he for a kid who's been through something like that at an early age, he comes across as a very happy-go-lucky dude who is down for whatever, whenever. My favorite part was the fact that this fool is playing Fortnite in the middle of Thanksgiving Day. And everybody and their mama is telling him to get his ass off the game so that they can go eat Thanksgiving. And he's sitting there playing, I got to finish the game. His pregnant girlfriend is literally like having a cow looking at him like, would you please please stop playing Fortnite so we can eat Thanksgiving dinner. And she was pregnant, by the way. So he won that battle because he's rich. Any normal man would not have won that battle. No. Nope. Any normal man with a pregnant wife, in between a pregnant wife and a plate, trying to say, hold on, probably would have got a chair thrown at him.
At a Thanksgiving dinner, too. We're not just talking about any regular dinner. This is Thanksgiving, so the smells from the food are just that much more intensified. He was like, y'all can wait. I'm playing Fortnite. This is what I do. He basically said, I'm the bread maker, so you guys wait for me.
Right.
That's exactly what he said.
Pretty much, yeah.
But to the point of Jimmy Butler, you want to talk about a guy who is the most humble man in the NBA without even knowing it.
Yeah.
You would have never known who Jimmy Butler actually was until you watch this documentary. And he is my favorite character. Or not, I mean, he's my favorite player in this. I shouldn't even call him a character.
Yeah, it's him, I think.
The man just plays dominoes and has a damn near coffee shop in his own house. He's got his own coffee barista to make him a cup of coffee. But that's what I enjoy about it the most.
Nothing says I made it like playing dominoes and there's a barista making coffee for you in the background. It's a whole different level. And
and he's not one of those players who's going out and having these lavish dinners, ordering $300 bottles of wine, this and that. The man is very humble, and getting to know his story, finding out about his dad as well. We're trying not to spoil a whole lot of it, but it's something that you can relate to here. He makes you understand why these guys are just regular people who just happen to be really good at a job they love to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially when you got kids all over the place. So for sure. Everybody's got kids, there's kids everywhere. But yeah, man, it's and LeBron's feet, for good Lord. I mean,
that's disgusting, man.
Dude's feet looks like he's been wearing those damn he looks like he grew up in the movie Elf. LeBron is Elf. And he was wearing those little skinny shoes with the pointed thing. That's what his feet look like. They're all going like this. His foot's like an arrow.
Bro, he got toes. He got toes laying on top of toes.
Yeah, all of his toes have gone. Because his foot's an arrow. His toes have just crumble on top of each other like this.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's bad. It's bad. But athletes feet are always pretty rough. Shaq's feet are terrible. Dion's missing a toe. It gets pretty rough. So, I'll give him that.
Speaking of Dion, I'm glad his stupid ass team lost this weekend too.
Okay, man.
I had to throw that in there. You know how
they're not ranked, bro. They weren't supposed to win that game.
Exactly, and I'm glad that they didn't. Dory Sanders is good. Travis Hunter's really good. He plays both sides of the ball. Nobody cares. You guys suck. All right.
Oh boy! All right. Well, now that you got that out of your system.
Just on a side note, have you seen Norbit?
Oh man, it's been a long time since I've seen that. Yeah,
bro, it's on Prime. Last night I was up. I couldn't sleep. I saw Norbit. That was a mistake. I couldn't sleep for much longer. I was laughing my ass off. Y'all gotta watch Norbit, man. It's out of pocket.
It's a classic.
It's out of line, but that is one of Eddie Murphy's best movies where he plays multiple characters. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. My favorite scene is where he's on the dance floor and she throws the speaker on him and just takes his world away from it. I love that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, check that out, y'all.
Watch it again.
Check that out. Well, right. I think that's all we got for this evening. Yeah. We've covered a lot of stuff actually. We will be back on Friday evening. We're gonna drop another video for Pick'em Dummies. I am the dummy. That was the dummy these past 2 weeks. I'm gonna try to be a little bit better this week, although there's some very close games coming up next week. I'm very excited about the NFL this next week. We got some great games, and we've got a little bit more NBA maybe to talk about. We haven't really jumped into it yet, folks, because it's only the preseason. Once we get to the regular season, right around Halloween time, then it will be all gears go, and we will be cramming this show with both football and NBA coverage. So we appreciate y'all for joining us. Again, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and then hit that notification bell while you're at it. And thank you Etta Waylonis. I hope I'm saying your name right. He is old.
Yeah, you said it right.
Who's old?
I think she was talking about LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron is old, but them feet, they ain't no excuse for that. Them things was, whew, it was rough.
Hey, talk about cutting toes off. They cut his shit off too.
Yeah, man, he had one toe. He was like the penguin. It was just one fin. He had a fin. He just got a fin. The toes just go together. It's a fin. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised we had webbed feet. I knew LeBron was an alien. Anyway.
Must be still in the league.
Right. Thank you, David. Mama Lay. Appreciate it. We will be back on Friday with a Pick Up Dummies video, and then we'll be back Sunday at 6:30 Pacific time as we did this evening to go over the games for the week. So we appreciate y'all joining us. We are out. Peace.
Later.